Hello guys and welcome to the first episode of my Flux review. Please do subscribe as I'm currently working my way through series 1 of Doctor Who as well. So please stick around for a packed upload schedule in these next 2 months. Enjoy. The episode begins quite decently with a quip from the Doctor and Yaz before it's revealed that they're hanging upside down. Afterwards, we get told what is going to happen to them, just in case they survive.
Which you are.
We also get told what else would happen. Thanks for that Absorbaloff sounding thing. And then Yaz bemoans the Doctor by filling in the audience with the entire sequence of events that led them there. So much for showing not telling. From a student filmmaker perspective, I do find the whole upside down sequence impressive as well. A lot of the lines are delivered whilst the pair truly are upside down, and at least from the close-up shots it does look rather good and it makes me feel as disoriented as the actresses likely felt. We then get Jodie and Mandip shouting release for what feels like an eternity. Whittaker practically barking her lines aside, I do like the little nod to Capaldi's Doctor with Whittaker's Scottish accent attempt. Other than the close-ups, I don't like the visuals in this opening sequence much at all, and it becomes truly laughable for the wrong reasons when the metal somehow breaks apart. Considering the TARDIS happens to have a mattress and trampoline to aid the pair's fall, I can forgive how the TARDIS is also just randomly there with no clear explanation. Though Jodie and Mandip on the bed handcuffed, the stands are going to love it.
You're going to have to take those clothes off.
I still think the title sequence holds up and I love the addition of the Flux engraving and the Doctor Who's emblem. We then get sent to old school Liverpool to meet some dons who appear to be overseeing the construction of a railway passage. I assumed this episode was going to go down the history lesson route with these characters since they came straight after the title sequence, but nope. We move on and we don't see them until a brief flashback at the end, which is of course implying that we'll see a full story with these characters at some point across the series. The introduction to Dan. I do like John Bishop and some of his comedy shows are great, so I'm interested to see what he gives to the series as a whole. But as for the scene he's introduced in, the transition from the outside to the inside is juddery and feels as though it's lagging. I don't feel like it was needed to be done anyway, let alone be included in the final edit. Regardless, how we're introduced to him via doing something kind that he's not even allowed to be doing is interesting. It presents him as a selfless character. This villain has a lot of potential going forward, delving into the history of the Doctor, which is undoubtedly going to be touched upon this series, as we're undoubtedly going to learn more about the Division. The design is great and is genuinely quite terrifying.
Trick or treat, Doctor.
October 31st. Halloween. Trick or treat.
Okay. Chibnall loves his parallels and synchronization moments, but this is forcing things to another level. Just to establish a parallel is ridiculous and not realistic in the slightest, or am I just out of touch? Whilst pulled out of context and as a promo clip, I do think this scene works in terms of sequencing. The music is consistent with the other scenes and the tone of the episode, as well as the humour that lands much better now when seeing the scene in the episode itself. Later, we see Dan walk around his kitchen lonely and without food, showing his selflessness once more, giving up all he can to help others at the food bank. Caravanista's design is really poor and is a scaled up version of Hackerty Dog. However, the humour in this scene hits and Bishop stands out massively as a positive, though in true Chibnall fashion he descends into a walking talking question machine when on board the spaceship later. The Doctor and Yaz track down the occurrences to Dan's house of course. 1 ship per human? Why? The ships look bloody huge. I swear these coincidences must have voice recognition. The computer was just like, oh shit, she's figured me out. Let me now start this detonation process and give her time to escape.
Have you tried the fridge?
Why would they be in the fridge?
Well, sometimes you put them in the fridge.
I do not. They're in the fridge.
Another bit of humour that hits. The female Ravager gets revealed in a good twist amongst quite a scary scene to be honest. It fits a scary vibe and establishes that they can take on human appearances. They are also brother and sister and have something to do with the Division. Perhaps they are from the Doctor's dimension, pre-timeless children portal, and that they are in fact our original race, and perhaps even the Doctor is one of them, but is now human looking. Who the hell knows, but I think I may be looking too much into this. We then get introduced to Claire in a Blink-like fashion. She is sent back in time by a weeping angel, which could potentially mean the Doctor and Yaz meet her again in the past. But again in the future, meaning a battery-like paradox seen in Angels Take Manhattan possibly? Is she trapped in a cycle? Story-wise, I do interpret it to be like that, but tonally I don't think it would work. She doesn't ask for help and it doesn't feel like she's done it many times before. I suppose we'll find out. I love how Yaz follows up on the Doctor not telling her about the glitch. It adds some personality to her, which is a frequent thing done across this episode, particularly in the middle third, although it's best done here in my opinion. Though I find the Doctor's reaction frustrating. We are friends because I took you to wonderful places. Okay, and?
Tell me.
The Weeping Angels reveal took me by surprise, and I find this scene alright if I'm being honest. It had a lot of promise, especially after the first jump scare. I find it lacking when the angel never left his hiding guy's position. Having the angel go into an attack position during the jump where it goes right beside her could have been amazing. Despite Barrowman getting cancelled after this was filmed, I'm surprised the role of Vinder wasn't given to Barrowman. Vinder's interactions with the computer and general dialogue swagger seems more suited to Barrowman, as it is familiar to that of the Empty Child 2-parter, which I shall be reviewing in a few weeks time, so please subscribe. Anderson didn't convince me in this episode, and he didn't show up the scene as much as Barrowman would, as much as I hate to say it. This entire scene is agonizing to sit through. He just asked the doctor questions, whilst the doctor asks Karen Vista questions after every time he says a bit of information. Damn, ruining the element of surprise though, it's hilarious. So the Flux is a journey in like bomb that destroys the universe, and the Karen Vista is there to save humanity, which I like, as it is a man's best friend helping out kind of vibe. It flips on his head, which I can appreciate. This particular Karen Vista has Dan as his human, yet he's shooting at the troops as they run to the TARDIS. What if he accidentally shoots Dan?
Give me back my human!
The Sontarans.
Is it me or does it look like it's changing direction? It's like it's coming for us.
Yes, Dan, we know. You said it, and then we saw it. You don't need to spell it out again. And my god, the lens flares, just have it be like the Runaway Bride. The Doctor is then again explored and antagonized by this amazing looking creature, and it is brilliantly established that a fight will inevitably happen in a future episode between the pair. The episode ends with a present day Earth and universe as a whole in grave danger. How we go from this cliffhanger to the Crimean War will be interesting to see unfold. Just before the credits we see cutbacks to all the characters this episode is somewhat established before we end. Not the kind of cliffhanger I was expecting, but it was solid nonetheless and quite innovative actually. So, is it a hit or a miss? The Halloween Apocalypse is an opener that established a lot of villains and the characters with varying degrees of success. It really is a mixed bag, the creature designs, some being good, some being bad, the characters, some being good, some being bad, and the dialogue, yeah, that was mostly just bad. It's not completely void of quality, and I wouldn't put it amongst the worst of this era, though it's certainly not close to good, just because it doesn't feel like a cohesive whole. Rightfully so. As an episode, it's pretty bad. A lot of what is established didn't need to be in this episode ultimately. I'm feeling a miss and a 3 out of 10 for this episode. And that wraps up my thoughts on the Halloween Apocalypse. Was I being too harsh, lenient or fair with this episode? Please tell me in the comments below, please subscribe, like, and I'll see you in a week's time for my review of The War of the Sontarans. Peace out.